Hi, thanks so much for tuning in. You're watching BQ Prime. My name is Alex Matthew, and this is the latest edition of the Infravisioning discussion. I have with me the founder and managing trustee of the Infravision Foundation, Vinayak Chatterjee. Thank you so much, Vinayak, as always, for taking the time. The topic of discussion today is the status of what was promised to be a very overarching platform that would have a lot of benefits. I'm talking about the Gati Shakti National Master Plan. Now, before we get into the benefits that it has already yielded, for those people that are unfamiliar with this, let's talk about what it is. And I think it's been a decade since the term was coined, maybe even more than that. Data is the new oil. And I think this fits very well within that ambit. So, what is it?
Gati Shakti is a platform, and I find that most people in India, as you rightly pointed out, don't quite get what it is. In fact, on a lighter note, somebody told me, oh, it's a platform, it's a software program. I thought it was the name given to the program for having more high-speed trains, so that they move with Gati and they move with Shakti. So I said, no, it has nothing to do with high-speed trains. On a more serious note, let me explain simply what it is. It is fundamentally a GIS platform-based software platform. Now, that itself is technically quite a mouthful. So simply what it means is that think of your Google map when you are driving, and it is a single layer which tells you how you can reach from your home to your office. That is called one layer, right? A two-dimensional one layer. Now think of many such layers sitting on top of each other, right? So Gati Shakti has, now don't fall off your chair, viewers, has 1300 layers. So it has today 1300 layers. So now you will ask the question, why have 1300? Because each layer signifies a particular linkage in an economic cluster. They use the word economic cluster in Gati Shakti, but between you and me, all that it means is places where economic activities happen, which in our case is India's towns and villages and industrial townships. So in that cluster, in that town, let us say Kanpur, there is a road going all around Kanpur. So that is one layer. There is water pipelines underneath. That's one layer. There are gas pipelines. That's another layer. There's optic fiber. That's another layer on the ground. On top of the ground are stuff like, where are all the fuel pumps? How many landing strips or airports are there in the bigger cities? How many transmission towers are there on the land? So each layer signifies a particular linkage of broadly of utilities that have connectivity. Now, so 1300 layers is the space required today and in the future to populate it with every kind of question that you may ask about a city or an economic cluster, to say, in that geographical area, show me all the linkages, right? So that is what Gati Shakti is about. It is, think of, as I said, think of your Google map with 1300 layers. So that's what it's called. It's a software GIS-based platform. And I would like to believe, and I'll pause after this, Alex, I'd like to believe that no other country in the world has as powerful a platform that documents and signifies such linkages that India has had to develop for itself. It has been developed by a outfit. It is called BISAG, B-I-S-A-G. The full form is the Bhaskaracharya National Institute for Space Applications and Geoinformatics, located between Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar, that specializes in this kind of work. So hats off for a rather mind-bogglingly impactful platform. Over to you, Alex.
So we've established that this contains a large amount of data, and it has potential to be filled with even more data because of the kind of infrastructure that, or rather the capacity that it already has. Now, just to drive home the point of why this is so important, I think at the core of it, it is information. When you're thinking, for example, of setting up a new port, for example, and I would like you to elucidate this with a few examples as well. But my thinking or my understanding is that if you were to set up a new port, what are the linkages in terms of the road infrastructure? How far is it from the latest or from the closest national highway? What are the electric grids that are near that area? What are the other aspects that could lead to the best functioning and development of this port? Is this the right way to think about it?
Exactly. Alex, you said it, and I'm asking myself whether I really need to elucidate this because you said it very beautifully yourself. But yes, you've hit the nail on the head. If I'm setting up a new port, in the old days, without Gati Shakti, I would give a sanction to the Ministry of Port and Shipping saying, yes, build a new port on the East Coast. Today, I don't do that. I give a comprehensive sanction which says, here is the port, and for the port to be functional and useful to the nation, I need road connectivity, I need rail connectivity, I need electricity, I need evacuation infrastructure, all of that. So can I sanction the project holistically and involve all the other ministries and departments at the central, state and local levels to move together so that the project is viable? Because in the past, what we have seen is, we have seen a large renewable project in the deserts of Rajasthan, and lo and behold, the modules are in place, the sunlight is falling, electricity is being generated, but the transmission lines are not in place. Similarly happened with hydroelectric projects in the Northeast. The transmission networks were not there to evacuate it. Nobody thought about it in time. So examples, and also the second, so this is about, shall we say, designing the project. At the time of implementing the project, let us say that GIS has been used, or the Gati Shakti platform has been used to design a road, which it has been. In fact, I have evidence that the roads that are being designed now allow you on the platform to see all the places which have obstacles. Do you have a river running? Do you have a gas pipeline crossing the alignment? Do you have electric transmission towers that need to be moved? Do you have a rail line where you have to build a rail overbridge? All these aspects come when you're designing a road in this country. Till now, historically, much of this was done physically by surveyors visiting it, documenting it on manual sheets of paper. But today you can sit in front of a computer screen and change the alignment to make it the most effective with minimum disturbance. So this is the kind of stuff you can do. But back to you.
So October 2021 is when the project was announced, as far as I have read. Where are we at right now? Because I think this would be an ongoing process, right? Vinayak, keeping on adding data to this, what could be a behemoth of a platform eventually.
So what I have had a chat with some of the people involved in this, in the cell in the Commerce Ministry, which administers Gati Shakti. It's called the National Planning Group. And these are officers who are specially trained, drawn from different ministries. So there is a cross-cultural identity within the cell, that they come from different relevant ministries. And they have been trained on the software to make it useful. And they have downloaded to me that right now, that the data concerning roads, railways, ports, airports, power, telecom, petroleum and natural gas, and renewable energy have been fully mapped on the platform.
Okay.
Many other things, as you rightly said, will take time. Water pipelines may take time, or something else may take time, etc. But these are there. And the other good news is that there has been no political opposition. It is not, opposition states have not said this is a central imposition, we will not participate. Everybody has seen the logic of participating, and all 30 states and union territories have come on board. And they themselves are in the process of having developed or developing the mirror image portals at their local levels, at the state level. So it's all falling into place. And to answer your question, it is already in use. I mean, I will give you one or two examples. For example, I'm told that the Dighi pipeline, the Chennai-Tuticorin Expressway, the 181-kilometer new railway line between Barbil and Barsuan have been designed and sanctioned based on Gati Shakti. And that day, I think a week ago, the ports minister went on record in the media to say that 100 port connectivity projects have been identified as being required by Gati Shakti platform. Now, this is important because India has a national logistics policy where we are planning to bring down a logistics cost from 13% of GDP to 8% of GDP. And one of the critical elements there is port connectivity. How quickly can I take goods in and out of the ports, many of them being in congested areas? So Gati Shakti has identified 100 choke points which the minister has publicly announced having addressed. So you can see how the Gati Shakti is already getting into the DNA of our decision making.
Could this also result in lowering the cost of setting up infrastructure?
Of course, because the first reason it will lower the cost is that it will reduce the uncertainties of the project design. Now, after you've sanctioned the road alignment and you land up and find that, oh, we forgot about the fact that there were three major electricity transmission towers on the way, and we have to change the alignment, or if you get the electricity board to remove these transmission lines, and that itself will take 6 months, you have delayed the project by 6 months, right? And that the time cost of those huge outlays is humongous. So one is to say that at the design stage itself, you are able to do it in an optimal manner that saves delays and further costs. Secondly, you are not sanctioning projects in isolation, so that when the mother project is sanctioned, but it is still born because the connectivity is not in place, that money is lying idle. On paper, you may show the port has been completed, but it is not working. The renewable project in the desert in Rajasthan may be completed and you will say it's a completed project, but the electricity can't be evacuated. So it's a dud capital. So across many such areas, the Gati Shakti is contributing to making both the design, the implementation. Now, let me add the third, monitoring. Since the Gati Shakti is constantly updating live data, you are even using the platform for monitoring progress of major infrastructure public works programs. You've got now a software where you don't have to call up the district magistrate and say, "Sarke kitna ban gaya, 60% ho gaya tha, aapne jo kaha tha." It's there on the platform. It's being fed in every month. So across the chain, I think it ushers in a completely new way of handling public works and infrastructure programs which have connectivity in our country.
I have another question which just occurred to me, and then we'll move to the access issue, which I want to speak about. But one of the primary issues that need to be addressed in electricity transmission is the efficiency of the grid. Could something like this be used to improve efficiency at some point?
I suppose it can, although I'm not an expert. Somebody from Power Grid or
we'll have to explore that.
Also would be able to give you the finer details. But yes, if you are increasing the network capacity of our national and state level electricity grids, particularly in terms of fresh connections to renewable energies in remote areas. We're having one of the largest areas of renewable energy in Ladakh. And do you know that one of the longest new projects of transmission is from Ladakh to Sonepat? Okay. Surely the routing of that transmission line, as you said, would be helped greatly by the Gati Shakti platform. You're bringing it down from a very remote mountainous area right through to the heartland plains of northern India, right? So certainly useful.
So the final aspect of this is access, because right now it's restricted to certain functionaries of the government. It's not open to the to private usage, and of course there are reasons for that. Vinayak, it's a lot of data, as you've pointed out. But do you see that changing? What are the benefits and the cons of opening it up?
Yeah, I think it's an important point. You see, today Gati Shakti, to log on to Gati Shakti, you need to be an authorized officer or authorized by the government to access it with your own password and login and all that. So it's not open to the general public. But I think the point has gone across to the government. As you rightly said, Gati Shakti contains so much sensitive information. Let us say connectivity to nuclear installations, defense establishments, that making it 100% open to public has some serious national security concerns, which I respect as a citizen. So, but the government has heard and is keen to make a particularly sanitized version of it available to the public, because it would be a great benefit to, private industry would be able to use it to determine location decisions of new factories and plants. The people who are researchers in infrastructure, policymakers would all have access to it. And it is so rich in data that you could have lots of good stuff emanating when you throw it open to the public. So what I understand now is that there is a group, or within BISAC, I think there are people working to see if a sanitized version can be made available, what one would call kind of a super Google map, whereas in different layers which don't have security concerns, I suppose layers like water pipelines and irrigation projects don't have great security concerns, nor do railway lines and stuff like that. So many of the layers could be sanitized and thrown open to the public. And that's something that we would eagerly await for that to happen.
All right. So I think we've gone into quite a bit of detail of what this project is about, and we've spoken about what has been achieved already. The potential seemingly is enormous. Thank you so much, Vinayak, for joining in and for giving us that breakdown.
Thank you. Been a pleasure to be on your platform as always. Thank you, Alex.